Josh Pate is Late Kick Josh on Twitter. You see him do that at 24/7 Sports. He's with us now on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. What's up, Josh Pate? How are you?
I am good. I hear you talking about analysts moving around. Now, yeah, the Georgia folks are right. That's a big name, but it gets a lot bigger because the NCAA just did away with the rule about how many on-field analysts you can, and I'm going to air quote this hard, legally have on your practice field. So what those guys used to have to hide behind a closed to the media wall to do, now they can just do out in the open. So, yeah, man, losing analysts is like a big deal all of a sudden.
You know, I know this is going to sound weird because TCU just played for the national championship, but Art Briles leaving Arkansas to go to TCU seems like a lateral move at best.
Unless there's stuff going on internally we don't know about, which is about the only thing I can come to the conclusion of. I'm not talking about like NCAA or anything like that, but if you add the Kendal Briles move into the overall ball of what's happened there over the last few months, the season went off the rails. You could explain that away due to injury or just random bounces of the ball. But there was a little bit of a red flag that got sent up when Sam Pittman did away with nutrition, strength and conditioning, a lot of the internal pieces there that maybe don't make front page headlines. And then Barry Odom, understandably so, he goes and takes a head coaching job. Okay. But then you lose Kendal Briles. And what you just said, if someone just comes along and they drive by and they see that move, you say, what you just said, oh, that's a lateral move. When you look at what else is going on there, and they've lost a bunch of guys to the portal as well, it's such a different energy than existed with Arkansas just 9 or 10 months ago. So it shows how fickle it is. It shows how fine the line is between great culture, everything's going in the right direction, and all of a sudden we're sitting here in January saying, does anyone know what's going on at Arkansas? It happens that fast.
Yeah, it does. But, you know, I'm Kendal Briles doesn't know who I am. But if he'd asked Jim for advice, I would say don't take any other job. Don't take that job because there is no way, zero chance next year is going to be as good as this year. And guess who they're going to blame? You, Kendal Briles. It's a horrible move by him, in my opinion.
I think it's a terrible point by you to just assume he doesn't know who you are, though, Dunaway.
I know.
You're on the internet, man.
But
you're
still.
everywhere.
Yes, yeah. But I think it's a bad move because, like, for instance, Garrett Riley leaves TCU. He'll be loved at TCU forever, like Auburn fans loved Gus Malzahn when he left after the national championship. He goes to Clemson. There is so much upside at Clemson. Garrett Riley's star is going to keep shooting. Kendal Briles is going to go in there with no Max Duggan. You got to admit, I like Garrett Riley to Clemson. What do you think about Garrett Riley at Clemson?
Oh, it was massive. When Dabo Swinney got to the end of the road in the 2022 season, he had this little semi-contentious back and forth with reporters up there. And it was, I can't remember what sparked it. Sometimes Dabo just wakes up and that's what sparks a contentious exchange. But I think it was something along the lines of they were headed into the Orange Bowl and someone made a comment or something. Anyway, it was a call-in show. That's what it was. It was his coach's show. And someone just asked an innocuous, totally innocent question about, hey, are we going to make some moves coming up? And he turns that into, well, if you don't like the way I do it, you just need to find someone else, I guess. Well, the thing about that was just because he wasn't publicly admitting, hey, you guys are right, I need to make a change, doesn't mean he wasn't realizing this whole time, I need to make a change. Dabo's just way too prideful to ever admit that publicly. You guys had it right, I had it wrong. Well, come to find out, that was the case. He makes the move, and that took a lot of pride swallowing because Brandon Streeter was his guy. He elevated him internally. It didn't work out fantastically, as it turns out. And so he makes a move, but his move is to go get the hottest name in coordinator circles. Garrett Riley's going to be a head coach in the not too distant future. He goes and gets him. And I just sit here and wonder what DJ Uiagalelei must think. His seat is still warm in Clemson. He just left, and he looks back and says, what if I would have had that guy? Because I'm of the opinion DJ's still a really good quarterback. I think he was horribly underdeveloped there. I don't think his best game was his first game he played a couple of years ago at Notre Dame. And that's not always on the player. So to answer your question, yeah, huge move by Dabo. And also, I think it signifies a move that was necessary not only for Clemson, but it would be ignorant of us to ignore the Florida State element in the room. Right now, if you were to check odds to win the title in the ACC, Clemson and FSU, the national title. Clemson and FSU have the same odds this coming year. Hadn't seen that in a long time. It's been Clemson and a mile and then the rest of the field. And now all of a sudden there's a semi-legitimate challenger in the room.
Late Kick Josh on Twitter is where you find Josh Pate. You watch that show on 24/7 Sports. He's with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. Florida State's going to be the sexy pick this offseason, aren't they? They are going to be the sexy pick.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember if it was on here first or a TV show I do here in town, but I was asked for my Final Four teams for next year, and I included Florida State, and I thought, everybody's going to I'm going to be smart. Look at me. The whole world's picking them now, Josh. I mean, this is your sexy pick in the offseason.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, though. So I spent the entirety of July and August making fun of people because the two trendy sleepers, I don't know how far back everyone remembers, but the two trendy sleepers for the upcoming 2022 season were Kansas State and TCU. Those were the two teams that people selected. And they end up playing in the Big 12 championship game. After I made fun of everyone, like I thought what you just thought. Everyone's saying it, so it can't be true. And so I decided to be the contrarian to the contrarians, and I just ended up on the side of the road watching them all go by in like a parade. So I don't know. Look, here's the thing. It's not a lot of cotton candy. Like FSU doesn't have the sparkler feel. They've got the more bottle rocket feel. They did not rush things when Norvell got there. They could have. And people thought when they used the portal so much, that's what he was doing. He was trying to microwave his way to success. No, internally, they were building it the right way. And thing about it is, if you look at Sark at Texas, he could very well be Mike Norvell year 2. Because Mike Norvell year 2, everyone was still hating on the guy. Turns out he just needed a third year. Sark's gone 5-7, 8-4. This is not some promise or foreshadowing for Texas, but for all I know, Sark's about to win 10 games this fall, and everyone looks and says, oh, wow, he had it figured out all along. Sometimes the picture's just not clear after 2 years.
Bryce Young would be worth $13 million. Jaden Rashada, though, who is ranked anywhere from 6th to 10th in this recruiting class for a quarterback, the reports were he had that NIL deal, at least verbally given to him for $13 million. That number blows me away.
It's a joke of a number. It's a joke of a situation. Here's where I guess I found myself at odds with some people is I keep on looking in our comment section, and I had a dude at the gym yesterday come up to me and say, who does that kid think he is? Well, as far as I can tell, the kid thinks he is someone like the rest of us who would expect someone to follow through on an offer they gave him. That's who the kid is.
That's right.
Like the entire nature of an offer is it's a two-party situation. Jaden Rashada is not going out there holding a poster board in front of his head saying, 13 million or I'm not talking to you. And so, yeah, it's ridiculous. Obviously, it's a ridiculous concept to be paying a kid who is unproven that kind of money. But I can only have a problem with it until you offered it. When you offered it and then you didn't want to follow through, it's on the adults in the room. It's not on the high school kid over here in the room. But I will say this now, it's probably necessary that we had to have something like this happen. We're still in the infancy, the very, very early stages of the whole NIL era. And as is the case, anytime something new gets implemented pretty much anywhere, college football included, you got to have someone crash and burn fantastically and have scars all over their face to be the example for everyone else to point to and say, we don't want to turn out like that. Like Malzahn got a big extension at Auburn in that 2017 year because someone was pointing to Tennessee and the disastrous hiring circus that was going on up there saying, we don't want to be that. And so someone will end up making proper, sound, wise moves because of the Florida protocol, we'll call it, moving forward.
West Coast Josh is one of my favorite Joshes, and you spend a lot of time out in LA in the Pac-12. I'm not saying they got jobbed in their last Pac-12 schedule release, but as I look at USC's schedule, easy beginning, but after their Notre Dame road game week 7, they come back week 8, they get Utah. Then they get Washington and road trip to Oregon back-to-back weeks, and then UCLA. And rivalry weekend, week 13, they're off. They're USC, the Pride USC Trojans, not playing in one of the biggest weekends in college football. Did not look like a Trojan-friendly schedule from Pac-12 and a parting gift here if they want them to win the national championship.
So you sense that, huh? You think that there may be ulterior motives.
They seem to stack them in bad places for them. If that was Alabama, we would have spread those damn things out for them here in the South.
This was basically like Netflix looking at an actor that they have on retention for 3 movies, and 2 of them are already down and one's left, and they know that actor's not, he's going to Amazon after this. What kind of role do you put him in? You try and squeeze every drop of monetary consumption I can get out of him. And so USC was essentially treated as an actor. They are in an entertainment business out there, and it doesn't really matter how your players or coaches feel about it. We don't care about rest. We don't care about anything like that. Your brand is what matters to us. That's all that's going to make us money at this point. I think they knew that was coming, by the way. It just one of those is what it is situations. That week 13 situation is pretty wild, though. Like, am I understanding that right? Is that a bye potentially before a conference title game?
It is.
Yeah.
It's they end on week 12. Week 13 is a bye, conference title game week 14.
So if you can somehow navigate your way through the Pac-12, you just get to go double middle finger bye week into a conference championship game and make that your last appearance on a Pac-12 stage.
Yep, 100%.
Are you?
It sounds like a very Lincoln Riley thing to do.
Yeah, Florida Utah is going to get moved to that first Thursday night, but and we'll all get excited about it. That's a great Thursday night game. It was a fantastic Saturday night game this year. The Saturday schedule, though, we've pulled games off that Saturday schedule. It's not great in week 1. We've strengthened Thursday night, but we weakened Saturday to do it.
Yeah. Does that make sense to you guys?
Not to me, no. I mean, I like having a good Thursday night game, but, buddy, I want as much as I can on Saturday. I'll sacrifice Thursday night for Saturday.
Yeah, but see, the way that I would define a good Thursday night game is a team that I could see making the Gator Bowl this year. A couple of teams I could see making those late December, early January games. I don't want my conference championship contender. Now, I get it if you're the Pac-12 and you got to get as many standalone stages as you can. I will say this, though. This could be the most enticing opportunity that I've ever had to go to Salt Lake City, because otherwise I never can justify it. Yeah. So who knows? Maybe something good comes out of this.
Yeah, the road trip Josh. That's almost West Coast Josh there. You go near the Rockies.
Yeah, near the Rockies.
Near the Rockies. Almost West Coast Josh.
Well, that's Rocky Mountain Josh.
Rocky Mountain Josh.
Yeah.
RMJ, as Meemaw would call it.
Yeah. Do they yodel in the Rocky Mountains?
I don't think they do.
And I was about to yodel, and I got into it, and I realized I can't yodel.
I think that's the Alps.
Yeah, that's in Switzerland.
Yeah. He just sees mountains. That's all he sees.
That's right. That's not a way. He's in Gatlinburg. He starts yodeling. All right. Whether he's Rocky Mountain Josh, West Coast Josh, Swiss Josh, he is always Late Kick Josh to us. That's where you follow him on Twitter, @LateKickJosh, and watch him on 24/7 Sports.
Should be noted I'm a banjo picker when I'm in Gatlinburg.
Oh, okay. Yes. Very good, yes. He loves hearing the banjos. Josh, thank you very much for the time. Have a great weekend.
I appreciate it, guys.
All right, buddy. Take care. Josh Pate with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline.